This is a response from a Hindu monk in the Sovereign Order of KAILASA's Nithyananda to the Australian, and the article published on your website on the 1st of December 2023, titled Paraguay Officials Sacked After Dealings with Fictitious Country. While we acknowledge the vital role media plays in disseminating information, it is alarming to witness the media's unethical stance and systematic disinformation campaign to misrepresent and perpetuate further persecution of our already marginalized and persecuted minority indigenous Hindu communities that are represented by KAILASA. It is unfortunate that this article was published without contacting us. As a prominent media outlet, I am confident that the Australian understands that there are always two sides to the story. We would appreciate it if the Australian would in the future contact us to hear our side prior to publishing articles like this. And we avail ourselves now of this opportunity to set the record straight. The Australian, by publishing this article, is undeniably responsible for furthering this one-sided disinformation campaign and inciting hate against our persecuted indigenous Hindu community. And we strongly condemn any such Hindu-phobic racist lawfare and disinformation systematically perpetrated through such articles, which, as history has shown, is a weapon that the imperial racists had perpetrated transnationally for thousands of years. While the Australian may not be the original author and publisher of these articles, the Australian is responsible and accountable for the ramifications of hosting and disseminating disinformation carried through this article. Internationally, it is recognized by various media self-regulatory bodies that ethics of journalism include truth and accuracy, independence, fairness and impartiality, humanity, and accountability. This article does not do right to any of the mentioned ethics of journalism. For these serious violations of principles of journalist ethics and these serious instances of journalistic non-integrity in this article, we request to be immediately addressed by the authors, editors, and publishers. Now allow me to address the points mentioned in the article one by one and set the record straight. First of all, the article refers to KAILASA as a fictitious country and a country that does not exist. Now I'm asking you, is Taiwan, Kosovo, or Palestine a state? Some would say yes, others would say no. What is incontrovertible is that self-determination is a human right, enshrined in many international instruments, including the United Nations Charter. Another incontrovertible human right is the right to freedom of religion. These rights are being exercised by KAILASA citizens. KAILASA may be less recognized compared to other states, but that does not deny the people of KAILASA from exercising their fundamental human right and political rights of building diplomatic relations and recognition. In this article, and repeatedly all over, the media has shown denial of KAILASA, repeatedly calling it a fictitious country. This denial of the existence of KAILASA is the denial of the very purpose and need for KAILASA. Hindus have been orphaned through centuries of persecution, slavery, colonization, massacres, brutalities, and worst crimes of genocide, which killed more than 400 million indigenous Hindus and pushed Hindus into generations of homelessness and statelessness. A second point that I want to address is that the article speaks of a memorandum and a cooperation memorandum. Actually, the document reference was not a memorandum of understanding, but a proclamation. As it is a proclamation, there is nothing that KAILASA receives in return. Furthermore, even a memorandum of understanding would have merely been a statement of the possibility of contributions in the future. However, Kailasa, without any vested interest, without anything to gain, without any obligation to contribute, completely selflessly has already contributed 3 million Paraguayan Guarani worth of medical aid to support the people in local communities in Paraguay. Kailasa's humanitarian aid is not gathered through taxes, as how most established nations would, but instead it is raised through the hard work and sacrifices of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda and contributions of hardworking individuals of a persecuted minority indigenous community that are inspired to do the same, witnessing the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's relentless sacrifices and unshakable commitment towards this mission. A third point to address is that the article states furthermore that the Paraguayan official had been fooled. KAILASA is a recognized international body and has established bilateral relations and has not fooled anyone. Organizations and institutions representing KAILASA have established diplomatic relations with many cities, states, constituencies, municipalities around the world, bridging cultures, encouraging interreligious dialogue, and continuing our Hindu-based humanitarian services and promote global peace through better understanding of diverse cultures. KAILASA is committed to making more such contributions. However, it is unfortunate that through Hindu-phobic racist articles, the media has derailed these humanitarian services that KAILASA is committed to. The Australian, by hosting and publishing this article, has extraordinarily amplified this systematic persecution. Instead of recognizing these extraordinary contributions, the authors, editors, and publishers have put systematic and focused efforts into perpetuating deeply harmful disinformation that directly harms the vulnerable community who beneficiaries of KAILASA's humanitarian aid. A fourth point to address is that the article states that the Paraguayan official said that the United States of KAILASA was presented to him as a South American island. This is a lie. KAILASA has consistently in all platforms, from social media to one-on-one conversations, presented itself as the revival of the ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation, which is being revived by displaced Hindus from around the world, spearheaded by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Unlike any other modern nation, the United States of KAILASA provides a basis for the revival, preservation, and central administration of Hinduism, similar to the Vatican, which serves as a central administration hub for the Roman Catholic Church. Though the KAILASA movement is founded in the United States and spearheaded by members of the Hindu Adi-Shaivite minority community, it is created for and offers a safe haven to all the world's practicing, expiring, and persecuted Hindus, irrespective of race, gender, sect, caste, or creed, where they can peacefully live and express their spirituality, arts, and culture free from denigration, interference, and violence. These people created KAILASA with a determination to not just preserve and protect this science and share it with the entire world, but also to share the story of the persecution that is yet unknown to the world. The vision of KAILASA is enlightened living for all of humanity, a lofty goal that can be only achieved if we function as a sovereign nation that is not under any one country, but works together with all of them. Based on its principles, KAILASA supports causes such as gender equality, fight against global warming, universal access to holistic education and healthcare, vegetarianism, and more. The fifth point to address is that the article states the Paraguayan official saying their motive was unknown, referring to the motive of the KAILASA officials. KAILASA's mission and objectives are in fact publicly available and transparent, aimed at sharing with today's world the practical applications of the science of enlightenment. Through living this science, KAILASA has made major breakthroughs in 3 areas: education, health, and development of human potential, which can directly benefit any country. The global followers of this science live in over 100 countries and form one of the most successful communities in the world because they practice these teachings. These followers have created KAILASA to bring that successful life and lifestyle to the world as a service. With all the challenges of current times, governments and communities around the globe are eager to work together with KAILASA in bringing these services to benefit their people, as well as recognizing KAILASA as a state under international law and recognizing the tremendous contributions of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda and KAILASA to the world. A last point to address is that the article describes the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism as a, quote-unquote, an Indian citizen wanted for crimes committed in his country. Now, it is very important to note that despite nearly 15 years of malicious prosecution in India, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has not been convicted of any crime. The unproven allegations in India of rape are false and malicious. Moreover, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been proven innocent and exonerated in the US judiciary more than 10 years ago. The Ohio Federal Court ruled in favor of the Supreme Pontiff and fined the false victims nearly $500,000 in fines. In case number 213 CV 00526. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is not a criminal, but a persecuted individual whose basic human rights were denied and subject to more than a decade of lawfare. Many prominent world-renowned human rights advocates, like for example King's Counsel Geoffrey Robertson, have given independent reports and legal opinions attesting to this. Mr. Robertson stated both A and B's claims against Paramahamsa Nithyananda were dismissed in US cases with cost and in A's case with damages. Further evidence emerged in the US proceedings to show that the allegations were false. The omission of the US court orders that exonerate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism of the false accusations and at the same time, in sharp contrast, actively spreading disinformation in relation to the mentioned false accusations are strong indicators of journalistic non-integrity of the authors, the editors and the publishers, including the Australian which is hosting and publishing this article. We demand, therefore, a sincere and unambiguous apology for the blatant inaccuracies presented in your article and publications. A correction or clarification acknowledging the false information and providing accurate details about KAILASA is imperative to rectify the harm caused. Your role as a responsible media entity obliges you to act in the public interest and uphold journalistic integrity. We anticipate your prompt cooperation in setting the record straight and in doing so cease the perpetuation of harmful false narratives. We are open to further discussions and providing additional information. Thank you for your immediate attention to this matter. We expect a resolute and corrective response. Nithyananda.